In this video, I will tell you about polylines and splines. So let's start with the polyline tool. So here on draw panel, you'll see this polyline tool, and when you select it, you'll find its behavior is very similar to that of a line tool. So let's make a geometry with this. So I'll click at a point to start the polyline and then click at the next point and then the next point and then the next point and press enter to exit this command. So now in this case, you can see that we have this geometry which is very similar to the line tool. But now let's look at this line command. So select it. Now click at a point and then make a similar geometry, but this time I'm using the line tool. And now let's see the difference between these two geometries. So in the first case, when you click on any of the segment, the complete segment will be selected. But in the second case, selecting the segment will only select that segment. Also, we have this additional grip, which is quite different from the grips which we have here on the polyline. And when you hover your cursor over the polyline grips, you'll see this additional menu, and we'll learn about this later on in this course. So that's one of the basic difference between a polyline and a simple line. So in this case, the lines are quite separate from each other, and in case of polyline, they are combined into a single unit. Now let's erase them. Polyline has also many other properties. So let's start this polyline, and now I'll click at a point to start the polyline, and now look at the command line. Here we have some other options related to the polyline. So I'll just click at the second point somewhere over here, and now I'll select the arc option. So now once I select the arc option, you'll notice that the polyline now changes into an arc, and we can directly make an arc shape with this polyline, and now it's still in the form of an arc. So we'll return it back to the line, and for that you need to click on this line option from the command line, and now it's back to this line shape. So once again, I'll just drag this point and click here, and now click here, and here we have it. So using a single command, we can make this kind of geometry which has this segment, the line segment, and also the arc shape, and the polyline tool can be used to make it. So now let's select this polyline tool and let's look at other options related to the polyline. So now I'll click at a point, and now look at the command line. So here we have this option of half width. Let's select it, and now let's apply a starting half width of 10 unit and press enter. And now here we have an option for ending half width. Let's select 10 also in this case, and now look at this shape. So now we are able to make this polyline but with a certain width, and this is the final shape of polyline. So now the half width of this complete polyline is 10 units. So the complete width of this polyline will be 20 units. So now let's erase this geometry, and I'll select the polyline tool again, click at a point, and now I'll change the half width value to 0 for both the cases, for the starting and end width. And also we have an option of width here. So using the width option, you can enter the complete width of the polyline. So let's say that we want to enter a width of 20 units, so simply type 20, press enter, and the ending width also 20, and now we have the same results here. So using half width, we have applied a width of 10 units in between the center line and the periphery or the extreme end of this thickened polyline, but in this case we were applying the complete thickness or the complete width of this polyline, which was 20 units in this case. And here we have the final geometry. So here also you need to change these values to their default in order to have a normal behavior of the polyline. So now here we have the normal polyline. Now let's look at the spline tool. So using splines, you can create some very organic shapes, and when you expand the draw panel, you'll see we have two spline commands here, the spline fit and spline with control vertices. So let's select the spline fit. Now we can click at a point to start the spline, then click at the second point, third point, and so on. So this is the spline shape which can be used to make many organic shapes in Autocad. And now press enter to exit this command, and when you click on this spline, you'll notice that the points where we clicked, we have these grips. So at every point where we clicked, we'll have this grip on the spline. Now let's make another spline with spline control vertices. So let's select this flyout and select the second option, which is spline CV or spline with control vertices. Now in this case, I'll again click at a point and I'll make the spline. But in this case, if you look closely, you'll find that the spline is made in a slightly different way. So now let's press enter and let's zoom into this spline. And now you'll notice that all the points where we clicked will see this grip, and the spline is not touching the points where we have clicked, except for the starting and end point. So we have clicked at this point, then this, and then this point. Now, if you want to change the type of this spline, if you want to make it a spline of this type, then you can change it using this grip. So click on this down pointing grip and change it to fit. And here we have it, this spline fit. In a similar way, if you want to change the type of this spline using this down pointing grip, you can change it to control vertices, just like this. If you want to change the shape of this spline even further, you can use these grips to change its shape, and using this control vertices spline, you'll have more control over the curvature or the geometry of this spline. And in this case also, you can select these grips to further modify the shape of these splines. So this was all about polyline and spline command of AutoCAD.